Good Tuesday morning to you. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Michelle Beck. One of the biggest school districts in the state may be on the verge of a teacher strike. This morning, the Minneapolis Teachers Union heads into final mediation to try and negotiate a new contract. If there's no deal, teachers could vote to strike later this week. The union has spent 7 months of negotiations with Minneapolis Public Schools. So more on the details. Unless the two sides reach an agreement here, the Minneapolis Federation of Educators says it'll hold a strike vote as soon as this Thursday. And if they vote to strike, the union must give the district at least 10 days notice. The union hasn't had a contract since June. Demands include raises between 6 and 10%, class size limits, and more staffing for special education. Minneapolis Public Schools touted its latest proposal that aligned with union priorities, like a, quote, significant investment to reduce class sizes.
I don't think that's radical. I don't.
We want a safe, stable destination district, and that is what we're fighting for every day.
The union last went on strike 3 years ago, and last year a strike was just narrowly avoided. Just in this morning, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison wants to keep his job. The two-term Democrat was first elected in 2018 and narrowly won the gig back in 2022. So far, Attorney Ron Schutz, a Republican, is also running for AG. He's the only GOP member so far to announce a run. And new this morning, a legal victory for the Trump administration. Late yesterday, a federal appeals court overturned a temporary restraining order preventing Oregon's National Guard from entering Portland. Oregon officials say the city has been unfairly portrayed as violent and unstable. The president says the troops are needed because of protests outside of Portland's ICE facility. A live look now from the U.S. Capitol on day 21 of the government shutdown. As of today, it is tied as the second longest in U.S. history and still no end in sight. Just last night, Democrats voted against a Republican-backed bill for the 11th time. The bill that would have funded the government until November 21st failed in a 50-43 vote. Democrats say they want a bill that addresses Medicaid cuts and expiring Obamacare subsidies. Republicans say they won't discuss that until Democrats pass their bill with no changes. And right now, the most significant change to the White House in a century is underway as construction crews demolish part of a White House wing to make room for President Trump's new ballroom. That as the president and Australian Prime Minister inked a new deal on rare earths that could offer the U.S. leverage in trade talks with China. Meanwhile, Vice President Vance heads overseas to shore up the fragile ceasefire in Gaza. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Hi there. Vice President Vance meeting with Israel's prime minister today, and the war in Gaza is not the only foreign policy news we're following, even as the White House itself becomes part of the day's headlines.
A busy day in a White House under construction as crews begin demolishing part of the historic East Wing facade to clear the way for the massive ballroom addition President Trump has long touted to host more guests.
This was the ballroom, and this room holds 88 people, and the new one will hold 999 people.
The White House says the president and private donors will cover the estimated $250 million cost. But the renovations reverse an earlier Trump pledge not to touch the original building, and many Democratic lawmakers are slamming the move. While inside the White House, President Trump and the Australian Prime Minister signed a new deal Monday to invest in rare earth minerals, critical to producing advanced electronics and defense technologies.
In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them.
The move seen as a bid to counter China, which has a near monopoly on extracting and processing rare earths and has moved to curb exports amid high-stakes U.S.-China trade talks. At the same time, Vice President J.D. Vance arriving in Israel today, joining efforts to hold the fragile Gaza ceasefire together after violent flare-ups. President Trump upping the pressure on Hamas to stick to the terms and disarm.
They're going to behave, they're going to be nice, and if they're not, we're going to go and we're going to eradicate them.
The president again underscoring that would not include U.S. troops on the ground.
We're also tracking the legal fight over President Trump's National Guard deployments to American cities. Illinois is asking the Supreme Court to keep blocking troops in Chicago, while in Portland, Oregon, an appeals court has now sided with the White House, allowing the National Guard in against the state's wishes. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Well, this morning, farmers are looking for help and fast due to President Trump's trade war. Soybean farmers have been hit especially hard because China, once its largest customer, stopped buying American soybeans in May. The administration now says they are talking about setting aside up to $10 billion to help farmers who are struggling, but it's unclear when that relief could come, especially with the government shutdown. The bailout is receiving bipartisan support in Minnesota, but both Republicans and Democrats say it's just a Band-Aid.
For these guys, if there's money to be moved right now to help out, let's help get us through this crisis, but it is not the fix in the long term, but we should do it.
If it's a short term, help to get farmers through this season and then really to start next year, hopefully on a better footing, I'm all for it.
Yeah, new numbers show that for the first time in 7 years, China did not import any soybeans from the U.S. in September due to that trade war. It is business as usual this morning at the world's busiest airport after a terrifying discovery yesterday. This right here is body cam footage of police arresting a man inside the terminal at Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport who allegedly had plans to shoot it up. Police say they found an AR-15 rifle and 27 rounds in his truck parked right outside. The police chief says his family called in a tip after finding out he was live streaming his plans.
We're here today briefing you on a success and not a tragedy because a family saw something and said something. A family knew they had a family member in crisis, they knew they had access to firearms, and they were on social media.
And this morning, the suspect remains behind bars. He could be charged later today with making terroristic threats and attempting to commit aggravated assault. Developing this morning, police are searching for a group of suspects who allegedly attacked 2 people in a church parking lot. We now know both victims are employees of St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church. According to police, a group of men arrived in 2 gray vehicles shortly after 8 o'clock and attacked the 2 victims, robbing one of them and leaving them with injuries. Police say one man fell onto the concrete and suffered a head injury during the robbery, while the other was hurt trying to avoid an object that was thrown at him. A witness says she helped one of the victims as they waited for an ambulance, and the suspects took off in their cars.
They were sort of backing up so they could peel out, and I was terrified they were going to run him over. The poor guy, he could have been killed.
Yeah, we checked right before the news, and there's no update on any arrests. Minneapolis police did share this statement, saying in part, in the wake of recent crimes targeting places of worship, the department has directed officers to provide more patrols around these places when they're not responding to 911 calls. This morning, we are waiting for charges to come down for a man accused of firebombing a northeast Minneapolis ice cream shop twice in less than 24 hours. Police say they responded to Fletcher's Ice Cream on East Hennepin Avenue late Sunday night and again yesterday afternoon. Both times, police say a man arrived in a minivan, got out, threw a Molotov cocktail through the window, and left. Police say they found the suspect around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. He is in jail pending arson charges. Police say they're working to figure out the motive. This morning, Amazon says you are waking up to all systems back online, and this comes after yesterday's massive outage, essentially breaking the internet. The outage affecting big names from Snapchat and McDonald's to big banks and the U.S. Army. Now we're checking out the latest from the site Down Detector right now. Those high blips were from yesterday's outages, and this morning nothing is showing up. Amazon Web Services owns and runs nearly 40% of the physical servers and computers that make the internet run. They say the problem was with a health dashboard that monitors the amount of internet traffic at a facility in the Northeast. Now the preseason is officially over. The NBA right here on NBC kicking off tonight, and we are here for it. It is the first time in nearly a quarter of a century the games will be on NBC, and the network is pulling out all the stops. Audrey Russo joins us now with what to expect.
That's right. I've seen this described as half nostalgia, half new era, because these 100 games on NBC are going to be full of new talent and legends in the making. But a lot of the excitement comes from the return of old favorites. Michael Jordan is coming back to serve as a special contributor. So many people count this moment as one of his most memorable from his run with the Chicago Bulls. 1998, the game-winning shot with just seconds to go, earning his 6th league title, all on NBC. Now, Rockefeller Plaza is also getting in the spirit, installing huge stone basketballs to represent every team, including the Timberwolves, who will have 10 of these games here on KARE 11. And of course, it wouldn't be the NBA on NBC without this. As for the Timberwolves, well, their first game on our airwaves will be Monday, October 27th at 9:30 against the Nuggets. And all of the games presented by NBC Sports will also stream live on Peacock.
And we will be watching. Do stick with us. More news and weather are coming up after the break.